evening. It's now 6:39. I'd like to call the Brookline Board of Selectmen to order. I'd like to congratulate the new members of the board who've been re-elected, Chris and Gwendolyn. And I'd like to start by electing a chair. Nominations are open.
All right, John Maggio. Oh, Chair of the Select Board, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, I'd like to nominate a good friend, Don Maggio.
Don Maggio's been nominated. Any other nominations? Nominations are closed. All those in favor of electing Don Maggio, Chairman of the Board of Selectmen for Brookline, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? The ayes seem to have it. Congratulations, Don. You are the new chairperson. And I'd like to turn the meeting over to you.
All right, excellent.
These are good.
Well done.
I have a question. The clerk is instructed to close the nomination, then have one vote for, is that right?
Yes, yes. Thank you. All right, any changes to the agenda? It looks a little long, but it's pretty much a list.
I'm gonna zip through this, John.
I guess the only question I have is under old business 8A, the meeting house heating. Are we talking about that next week, 21st?
Yes.
Okay.
So that,
And the Sunny Lane Daycare UV water?
Hold the meeting house heating.
Yeah.
The UV water report is not in. We can hold that. Good. There was something else I wanted to add under, I don't know if it's old business or roads and highways. We had the job description for the Sunny Lane Daycare. It will be under old business. Job description draft, I have the updated draft for the Sunny Lane Daycare. We'll just add that for later.
What was that thing?
The job description that we didn't vote on yet, I had updated it with the UV system. So we'll
Okay.
add that to the old business.
Okay.
Any other changes?
nope.
They're less than 60 or
No.
whatever.
Oh, yes, there was another one.
What other change?
Approve, sign,
Oh, yeah.
select board rules of procedure. It's gotta be all three of those. There's three. There's the rules of procedure. There's the select board
I think it's,
procedure. So in any forms that we need to, there's three of them.
I think that's under the, yeah, 6A.
Crazy, isn't it?
Oh, here they are.
Okay.
Conflict of interest,
Right.
select board rules of procedure, and.
Oh, the purchase policy. Oh, I didn't realize we do the purchase policy.
Have to do three every year.
So add to purchase.
All right. Any other changes? Hearing none, we'll move to review and approve, sign, select board's rules and procedures. I guess I can handle that.
No, I just got the one. They're the same as last year. We just have to sign them, all three of those.
All right, Gwen retyped our rules of procedure. Guess I can sign it here. Okay,
Oh, you need to put the date in.
314, right?
Oh, no, that's okay. All right, that's all right, that one,
Okay.
there's room for you to put in, you have to put in the date under 314.
All right, so I just signed the rules of procedure. I'm also going to sign the purchase policy and pass that around for us, saying there hasn't been any change to the policy.
Has everyone had a chance to review and see those? They're the same ones as last year, but it would be good if you had a chance to see them and review them.
Do you want us to sign them another week?
You can hold them off. Again, because it's important that everybody gets to read exactly what they're signing for.
I did read these.
Yeah.
Purchase policy, which is the same as last year.
That's true. I'm good.
The procedures is the same as
Yeah.
last year too. They're all the same as last year. Nothing was changed at all.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we should stop signing them and executing them, but I think Guy makes a good point. We should probably
Review
all
them.
refresh our memories
Yeah, I would
about
take,
them.
I always print them out for home or review them again, just to be aware of what we, I usually carry a copy with me.
They are on the website too, right?
Yes, they
Di?
are. The purchase policies, I know that.
If they're not, they will be.
Any schedule numbers, 2 weeks.
Procedure. A little out of order here, but
Yeah, I think we kind of combined
three processes.
3 and
yeah.
6B, but I think that's fine. It kind of makes sense to do it all together.
Just purchase policy?
Alright. Signed here.
Did you vote on a co-chair or not?
Nope, not yet, what?
Okay, I didn't know if I missed it, I just,
It's down here underneath. It's signed, yeah. Right there.
Do you want some candy with your agenda? Keep it awake?
Archie, that's the minutes from last week.
Oh, okay.
Waiting on you.
You waiting on me? Oh, I didn't know that. Sorry. That's twice tonight. This I know about. I know about that too. You got this too?
Which one are you looking at now?
Conflict of interest.
Yes, conflict of interest, purchase policy, and rules of
Read that
procedure.
fast.
Three documents we have to sign. And those that were newly elected, do they have to sign an oath? Or is that?
no, I had, Chris has signed an oath. Did I
I
have,
did.
you signed?
We did it Friday.
Okay, yep.
Okay, so the oaths are done. All right, well, Bruce is finishing looking that over.
Yeah,
Take a
I'll do
look.
this as quick as I can.
Take your time. Any changes? I didn't see, for the minutes from February 21st, first regular board meeting, I saw no mistake.
Chris noted that the date, the time in the header says 8:30 PM and it should have said 6:30 PM for what the scheduled date was, scheduled time was.
This was not.
So I changed that already. No, it wasn't. I think I got myself confused.
Ah.
Yeah,
alright.
this meeting was
Started at 6:30.
started on time, yeah.
Okay.
Any other changes?
Any other changes to the minutes from
Anyone?
February
I didn't see
21st?
any.
I didn't either.
I wasn't here.
Yeah.
I wasn't here, so.
Oh, can I have a motion to accept the amended minutes from February 21st?
So moved.
So moved, second?
I second.
Seconded by Gwen, any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the amended minutes from February 21st, 2018, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
I abstained.
And one abstention, because Chris was out.
A motion to approve the rules of procedure.
He's still.
Okay.
We'll also just take a look at the March 9th minutes, which were held at 12 o'clock last week. I'd like a motion to accept the minutes from March 9th.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes.
May I have a second? You were here.
I second.
Second, okay. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Oh, none. Hearing none, all those in favor of accepting the minutes from March 9th, 2018, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, excellent, that was stuff.
And 2 abstentions.
2
Two
abstentions.
of us who weren't here.
Bruce was not here and David was not here for that. Okay. So I'm gonna, I need to, let me ask you this. I need to make a motion to accept the purchase policy, is that what you're saying, or is that just the conflict
Well,
of
it says
interest?
review, approve, sign,
Okay,
so probably approve and sign.
All 3 of them?
You could just approve the rules of procedure.
all those in favor of approving the select board rules of procedure signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Rules of procedures have been signed and accepted. I'll make motion to accept the purchase policy for the town of Brookline. Do I have a second?
Second?
Seconded by Chris. Any discussion? All those in favor of accepting the purchase policy for the town of Brookline signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Purchase policy also is approved, and the last one will come shortly. Any members of the public wishing to speak? We'll move through.
Is that Archie? Did you hear a member of the public now, though?
Did you want to speak now? Or do you want to wait for, okay. Schedule, unscheduled members of the public? None. Okay, now we're going to go into the reorganization and appointment of the town officers. I'd like to have a nomination for the vice chair of the select board.
That's a correction, it says appoint, it should be nominate.
Nominate,
Because
that's
we
why I
don't
sent
appoint
this
these.
out. All right, nominate.
Do you want to?
I just,
I was
You wanna do it again?
Sure, I do.
I know.
I just never want to be, I told that I never want to
Well-
be full-time chair. Is that a problem for you, Dad?
Well, we can go into discussion, because
Because I have a
I
problem
would like
coming
to,
with you.
I would like to say, though, that I think it's important that at some point, we have someone who'd be willing to step up into it. I mean, next year, I don't want to get off of the board, but I may not want to always be chair, so I think it's important that we
Talk about that.
talk about that a little bit.
We got a year to decide that.
Huh?
Really?
But that would mean that if you don't want to be chair, and I'm
Definitely.
okay, that would mean someone who hasn't had access to the emails that I send to you all the time with duplication of what I'm doing. Just the learning aspect of it.
I will say that I would be willing to be vice chair, but I'm not saying that to
But me, whatever.
get in your way or whatever,
Yeah,
but,
right.
but, I mean, I think it's a fair point that it might be good to think of it as an ability to get somebody who hasn't experienced it before, to have
Right.
experience, to be able, because, I mean, we can't predict the future and, you know.
There's a deal.
Okay.
Next year, you'll have possibly new members also, because there'll be a couple of terms that are up for reseating.
Chris is,
Chris and Archie.
and who's?
Dave.
Actually, it'll be all three of us, I think.
Yep.
Not
Yeah,
you?
all three.
Right.
Just not you, me.
Right.
Could just be the two of you.
Daddy.
All right, well,
Likely.
we'll go on here. So, any nominations for, with that being said, you know that we have a lot of respect for that. So, with that being said, any nominations for vice chair of the select board?
This isn't going well. We're gonna be quiet.
Okay, I nominate
You guys
David.
decide, I was about to nominate him.
I nominate David
All
Jones.
right, any other nominations? So you right?
I'm fine.
Okay. All right, hearing none, when you do the nominations, because you've been doing this with the school board,
Don't need a
you
second.
don't need a second. And I say
Nominations closed.
nominations closed. And
Any discussion?
any discussion? Hearing none, we are,
Take a vote.
take a vote. All those in favor of David being vice chair signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. David, thank you very much, you're vice chair. And we can, everybody's a vice chair as far as I'm concerned.
Thank me if I show up for the next meeting, so.
Okay. Recording. I just did what Bruce said to do. So I did. Okay.
So you've elected David Jones as vice chair.
That's correct. Appoint the recording clerk of the board. I'd like to nominate Peter Barris for the recording clerk for the board. Are there any other nominations? Hearing none. All those in favor of appointing Peter Barris as clerk for this Brookline Select Board signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Peter. We've nominated you and
Thank you. Just a picky question.
No go.
Those are
I'm not
right.
the clerk of the board, I'm the recording clerk. So I don't need
recording
to-
clerk.
I don't need to be a resident or anything like that.
Correct. Thank you. It says recording clerk here, and I didn't read that. All right, next, set time and place for the select board meetings. Any suggestions or changes, dates, times, places? Shall we keep it
This works.
This seems to work well.
6:30,
First and third Wednesdays.
Wednesdays of the month?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's cool.
All those in favor of setting the first and third Wednesdays of the month at 6:30 at Town Hall
PM.
PM, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, the board meetings are the first and third Wednesdays of the month at Town Hall, starting at 6:30. Establish the official newspaper for the posting of meetings and hearings. Just want to let you know, in the past we have used the Brattleboro Reformer. There is a bill in the works in the legislature to remove some of the restrictions for that. However, the Reformer is one of the more widely circulated papers around by subscription, and if we do put bids out, that's one of the papers that is available more than the Commons. But anybody would like to make a,
I make a motion that we keep it as the recorder,
you mean the Reformer?
I mean the reformer.
I'll second that.
All right, we have a motion and a second to keep the Brattleboro Reformer as our official newspaper for posting meetings and hearings. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? Okay, so the Brattleboro Reformer. The next is to appoint the road commissioner. Down at the bottom here, I have received an email from Archie that, except for the 3 grants that you've started, that you would like to step away from doing the road commissioning work.
Yeah, I'd like to work on the culvert repairs and the salt sand shed, and we have a grant for some erosion control projects that you're all aware of, and I'm gonna reiterate it, but, and there's also a grant, the latest grant we get approved for, the Better Roads grant, is Really, it's just a planning grant, there's no work out there that's gonna be done other than planning and structure inventories and stuff like that. Well, it's really needs to be a part of that, but.
Well, what I made some copies for, because I don't think everybody really understands the things that the road commissioner does, so I'm gonna, you can take one. Until we decide on how to address the road commissioner position, the select board will take on the burden of that take the burden of that task until we do find someone that we can appoint. And so what this is the roles and responsibilities of the road commissioner from the VLCC handbook. I'm sure your description of what you actually do is a lot more than 2.5 pages, but just something for us to.
Right, if you really read it, I think you could look at yourselves as select board members and say, you're all road commissioners, you're
Exactly.
technically.
That's what this is saying.
You're all pretty much doing the role of the road commissioner. Right,
Well,
I mean.
yes, but I don't know how to go in and, we don't
You're the
have to
one
go
making the
measure
decision, right.
culverts or anything of that
Right,
kind.
but you're the ones making the financial decisions and the.
Right,
But it's your expertise that steers them.
right, and so
Thank you.
we would like to say, no, we're not accepting your request to back off, but I understand sometimes you just, even if it's for a year or two, that you need to clear up, so, we'll still look for you, I know where you live, so, if I need some help, or we need some help, we'll, beyond those 3 grant projects, we know where to reach you. So this is just something for you all to look, we're gonna postpone the item of 6F till another date. Right, okay. Appoint representatives to the Wyndham Regional Commission. Do I have any?
It's Diane.
Anybody have a nominate for that?
I would still like to continue that and,
And I did talk with Cynthia, and she said she was willing to do the same.
Okay. So can we do nominations collectively or have to do one at a time?
I nominate Guy Tanza and Cynthia Now as the Wyndham Regional Commissioners for the Select Board in 2018. All those,
Second it?
Gwen's gonna second it?
Yeah.
Okay, any discussion?
Are there any other nominations?
Any other nominations? I can't do this nominations.
Well, let's see.
Hearing none, all those in favor of Guy Tanza and Cynthia Now being the Wyndham Regional Commissioners signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Guy and Cynthia. Okay. We are looking for appointment of the Emergency Management Director. In the past, we have had Michael Fontaine and Michael Wynot. And we are ready to start working on our LEOP. I know that both Mikes wouldn't mind continuing on with this. Does anybody else want to make another nomination? Otherwise, I'll make a nomination for Mike Wynot and Mike Fontaine to be our emergency management directors, co-directors.
I second it.
Okay. We have a motion.
Spell those names?
Michael Fontaine, Fontaine, and Michael Wynot, Winot. Okay. All those in favor of Michael Fontaine and Michael Wynot being our co-chairs, co-directors for our emergency management directors, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Mike and Mike. Okay. We need to have a nomination for appointing a 911 coordinator. Do I have a motion for a nomination for that?
I'd like to nominate Guy Tanza.
Guy, you interested?
I've been working with them on a regular basis, so I understand the mechanics involved, and I would be happy to do that again this year.
Any other nominations for the 911 coordinator? Hearing none, All those in favor of appointing Guy Tan?
Does it has to be seconded?
No.
No? Okay.
All those in favor of appointing Guy Tanza as the 911 coordinator signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Okay, thank you, Mr. Tanza, for another position that you fill. Next is the appointment of the pound keeper. I'd like to appoint Wyndham
Humane Society.
Humane Society.
County Humane Society.
Wyndham County Humane Society as the Brookline pound keeper. Are there any other nominations for a pound keeper? Hearing none. All those in favor of appointing Wyndham County Humane Society as the Brookline pound keeper signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
I was very tempted to nominate Chris Webb.
I do have a book.
Use for that one.
Yes, you do have that.
Exactly, we're just saying. I'm just saying you have no use for the warrant, so.
Moving on to my part. Appointing the animal control officer. Did we talk to Nancy, right?
We did, yes.
Okay, and we twisted her
And
around.
she agrees to continue.
Reluctantly.
Yeah.
Nancy.
So I would like to nominate Nancy Libby.
LIBBY. Any other nominations?
What about Dot as deputy, ACO?
Yeah, because
I
that's.
don't really have a formal position for
No,
that.
that's just the code. That's just, I told her I would help her. All right, all those in favor of Nancy Libby being the animal control officer signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? We're all the assistant deputy animal control officers by default. Okay, appoint members of the historical society.
Do these have to be all done individually, or can they all be done
We can do it as a group.
as a group? Because I did talk to all three. So I nominate Cynthia Now, Doug Wellman,
Jack Green?
and Jack Green. My mind went blank.
Any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor of appointing Cynthia Now, Doug Wellman, and Jack Green as members of the Historical Society signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right.
Is Green,
With an E.
With an E.
Yes. That's Sherry's husband.
is he? Oh, okay.
Appoint representative to the Wyndham Solid Waste Management District. I'd like to nominate David Jones as our representative to the Wyndham Solid Waste Management District. Any other nominations? Hearing none. All those in favor of appointing David to the Wyndham Solid Waste Management District signify by saying aye.
I
Any opposed? Thank you, David.
I'm going to abstain. Just because.
Appoint representative to Rescue Inc. Nomination.
I nominate Jorda Dagno,
Spell that for the rest.
which is Daigneault. Did you get that, Peter?
Yep.
I did speak with Jorda, and she said she'd like to.
And any of those names, Peter, are on the website if you need to verify spelling.
Thank you.
Any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor of appointing Jorda
Dano?
Dano, so easy to say, to the, as our Brookline representative to Rescue Inc. signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so Jorda is it. Dano. Appoint members to the Brookline Planning Commission.
So Suzanne DeCourcy is the, well, we currently have a vacancy on the planning commission.
I see that, yes.
And then Suzanne DeCourcy's position is up for new appointment. I spoke to Suzanne and she does not want to continue on the planning commission.
Okay.
She's enjoyed it, she's been, everything, it's been, I think her feeling, just to convey what she expressed to me, is that with the town plan having been updated, I think she feels like it's an okay time for her to step away, and it's, you know, she's enjoyed everything about it, but, you know, she's wants to spend time doing some other stuff. So,
Fair enough, that's why we asked. That was,
yeah, right.
Anybody have any nominations that we have 2 vacancies there, we can
Yeah.
advertise with the listserv. Or ask Tom if he wants to, if he has anybody he'd like to recruit.
Yeah, it would be kind of interesting to know from the existing people on the planning commission, with all of the outreach and discussions they've been having with people during the town plan review and adoption, whether
Anybody?
perhaps anyone expressed an interest, or there was anyone who was engaged enough that we might convince them to be interested in joining the planning commission again, so it's probably a good idea.
All right, so I will contact, so we'll postpone making any appointments for the
Yeah.
planning commission to another date and time.
So one of these is a 5-year,
They're all
I
5.
think they're all
well,
5
the
years.
vacancy ends next year, it looks like.
Well,
Right?
yeah.
Yeah, the vacancy
I'm not
ends
sure I
next year.
understand how that
You could
would
appoint
be
somebody
possible.
just to
I guess we
follow
could
out the
appoint
year.
somebody for the final
For 1
year.
year, yeah.
Yeah, but it's vacant regardless, but yeah.
All right, so I'll write to Thomas, the chair, and ask him about recruiting, and if he wants to reach out to other people.
And it is a fair point, I suppose, if we could even find one person who's interested, there is a 1 year remaining of a term that somebody could
Be appointed.
be appointed for and not.
Okay, down here, this one for 2019.
Yeah.
Okay, 1 year.
I would do that one. I don't want to do a 5-year
Boom.
term, because I have no clue what I
There we
can
go.
do. But I would fill out the
Okay.
1 year.
All right, so so we're nominating Chris Webb as a 1 year, for a 1
To
year.
fill out the position.
Fill out the position for the 1 year position on the planning commission.
Is that the vacancy seat?
Yes,
Okay,
it is.
just so I know when I do the website.
Yeah, 2019 guy.
Give or take.
Hearing
No,
no
that's
other
good.
nominations, all those in favor of appointing Chris Webb to the 1 year vacancy in the planning commission signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Chris. I'll still talk to Tom about the position that Barbara is now not vacant.
Suzanne.
Susan, thank you, I went to
No, it's okay.
Barbara. Okay, appoint members to the Brookline Meeting House Committee. Any nominations?
Do you know about the current ones?
Anybody talk to Leanne or Carrie?
Bruce, are you interested?
Absolutely, unequivocally, no.
I will say that my wife is potentially interested in getting involved with the committee, although I think we should strongly consider as a separate item for discussion by the board, like we talked about, discussing with Leanne and Carrie and possibly thinking about reimagining this group a little bit. And possibly consider combining with the Historical Society or revamping that, because we have a lot of trouble getting
Meeting.
people interested and active on both of those committees. And at this point, there's a heck of a lot of overlap between the two of them, really. I mean, so should we possibly consider, maybe we consider combining this into the Historical Society.
Does that have to be
Or-
something warm?
I don't know.
No, I don't think so. No, basically, it's part of the Historical Society because when we originally had the Historical Society, we had one historical building. Now we have two. So basically, the church and could fall under the same roof and maybe have a combined committee and just call it the Historical Committee, whatever it is. It doesn't change the name of the buildings, it just changes the name of the committee.
I mean, I think it's something that it would be good for us to try to discuss with the people who are on the
Right.
Historical Society and on that. I don't think we should decide it without discussing with those folks, but
All right.
I also don't know that we should just assume that the structure should stay the same that it is now.
My question, I hear exactly what you're saying. Should I do believe that both Carrie and Leanne are interested in continuing with the meeting house committee, and which is how we have it here. So I'm going to nominate, would it be all right if I nominated these two for the Brookline Meeting House Committee, and then we touch base with the historical and the Meeting House Committee and talk to them about combining it at another time? Or should we just postpone?
Postpone it.
I think it needs to be postponed because
Till you get the feeling from
you get the
everybody.
feeling from them, because they
Well, we didn't ask Leanne or Carrie, no one asked Leanne or Carrie if they were interested in staying on the
Right.
committee. All right, so we're gonna, we'll postpone
Yeah.
appointing the Brookline Meeting House Committee.
Till we're discussing all of them, because they may just say, well, if you do that, we refuse to work on it.
All right.
You don't know.
Right.
Okay.
I guess I'd suggest that we add as an agenda item to the meeting on the 21st, where we were already going to be inviting Carrie and Leanne to come for the discussion about the heating and other thoughts, that we add an item to discuss the structure
So
of
then
the
maybe we
meeting
can
house
see if
committee.
Doug, Cynthia, and Jack want to show up for discussion on that also.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Well, you can invite them.
You invite them and you go ahead and make a change, and they don't show up. Oh, well.
Well, in a way, I guess, especially because we just appointed them to the Historical Society.
Right.
I kind of feel like the more sensible process is probably for us to discuss with Leanne and Carrie
First,
their
yeah.
feelings about the existence of the Meeting House Committee. And
So
does it still make sense for it to be a different committee and discuss that? And if
Yeah, that's a good
there's
idea.
consensus that it might make sense for it to merge, for lack of a better term, with the Historical Society, then we could bring the Historical Society folks into the
Yeah.
discussion about that.
Good
But
thought.
it's kind
Okay,
of,
so I'm gonna postpone any appointments for the Brookline Meeting House Committee. I will talk to Carrie and Leanne about this and see if they can come to next week's meeting on the 21st.
right, well, remember, we definitely want them to be at next week's meeting because Bruce is gonna do the whole presentation
On the
and discussion
heating.
about the heating and insulation. We're gonna have that whole discussion, which
Okay.
really seems like they should be
Leanne Parker,
here for.
P-A-R-K-E-R.
It's L-E-E space A-N-N-E.
All right, thank you, that makes good sense. All right, so this is going to hold. Okay, appoint property manager for the Sunny Lane Daycare. I'd like to make a motion that we appoint, going forward, Mark Bills as the property manager for the Sunny Lane Daycare.
Second.
And any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor of appointing Everett Mark Bills as the Sunny Lane property manager at Sunny Lane Daycare, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Thank you, Mark.
Yeah, thank you.
Did you give me one of those?
Not
You
yet.
know, with guidance from all of you as to what the title will be.
When we get down to it a little bit, we have a draft of the job description that will go on tonight.
All right.
Okay, so that's sort of pretty straightforward. But thank you, Mark.
When is the meeting?
It involves being road commissioner.
There's a reason that we did them in that order, which will come up here once you read the job description.
Yeah. All right, where are we up here? Appoint road supervisor. I'd like to make a motion, I'd like to nominate Mark Bills as the road supervisor for the town of Brookline. Any other nominations? Hearing none, all those in favor of appointing Everett Mark Bills as the road supervisor for Brookline signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, Mark, we got you going here.
Thank you.
Next one is appointing the service officer. I got an email from Mr. Tanza, who did a little research and said that the service officer position is no longer viable and it's been repealed. The state now has their own way of dealing with emergencies for children and family, and so we don't have to do a service officer anymore. We can remove that from our list. I'd like to, anybody ready to make a nomination for the surveyor of wood and lumber?
Son.
Has anybody discussed with, did anybody reach out to Sonny?
I left this for you guys. Could contact.
Well, I'm gonna nominate him anyway.
Right, because he's been doing it.
I guess I'd nominate Lester Rink as the surveyor of wood and lumber.
Any other nominations for the surveyor of wood and lumber? Hearing none, all those in favor of appointing Lester Rink as the surveyor of wood and lumber signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Lester.
R-I-N-K.
R-I-N-K.
All right, okay.
Yes. Okay. This is down to 8-point type here, it's sort of hard. Appoint tree warden, any nominations for tree warden?
I nominate Mark Bills.
Any other nominations for tree warden? Hearing none, all those in favor of appointing Mark Bills as our Brookline tree warden signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
I have a question.
Yes.
We have, did we do at some point health officers? We also have forest fire wardens.
The health officer, actually, the book should, we were appointed for life.
But, no, it's a 3-year. No, it was actually a
This feels
3-year.
that-
Yeah,
It's a
this, the dates in
three-year-
the book are
It's a
wrong.
3-year term. I've actually got the certificate on the wall, and I can't remember, I think it was 21?
Yeah, I don't, it's another
Yeah,
year.
12/31/21, I
Right,
think.
And,
so we don't have to appoint the health
Right.
officer.
And the fire warden is done by the state.
The state does the
I see,
fire warden.
okay, thank you.
Good question. Any other on here that I missed? All right, if not, we shall now go to roads and highway. Look at that, we're ahead of schedule.
Beautiful.
Current projects, new projects, old projects. I went down to the salt sand shed, we look low. We're getting snow again next week.
Look low on.
Well, everything, I thought. Bins were, last time I was there, everything was full. Now it looks pretty
We ordered salt 2 weeks ago, and I made a phone call on Tuesday to Barrett's, and they're expecting a train carload of salt to come to their home station, and then they'll deliver it. They thought Thursday or Friday.
Oh, good, because I did hear there was another storm circling up in the
Yeah.
atmosphere,
Yeah.
coming back for next Wednesday.
Tuesday,
Wednesday.
Wednesday, maybe, yeah.
We're used to it.
And we do have enough sand at this point to,
To handle between then and now.
yeah.
My other question is, I went actually there to see, and I realized everything was covered with snow, so I couldn't tell. Did we get a delivery of the rest of the rock needed from,
We did not.
we did not, so, you know what, I think when there's, if we do need more sand, then we're gonna have to hold, we're not gonna need any more sand for the season?
I don't believe so. There's still, not quite half a bay full of sand, and
Yeah, I think with the middle of March is 10 minutes of sunshine. And
Fine. It's quick.
once the roads thaw out to the point where they're warm underneath, the snow packs on a little bit, and you sand it, but like I said, 2 minutes of sunshine, and the sun is up so high. The days are a lot longer. It's just,
Oh, Jesus.
you don't need that maintenance sanding like you do in January.
February, when
Every
it
day
stays there, it's
you
freezing and stays below.
Yeah. Plus the roads are soft enough where you don't, you want to kind of minimize the loads over the roads. So,
Yeah.
this isn't a little hardier winter than our past few. And usually our salt deliveries come overnight. And the last load I ordered, it took a little over 1 week. It's been a little over 2 weeks this time, so I guess the inventory is completely dependent on salt coming from out west now, or coming off ships somewhere. So it's good that we're nearing the end
End of the season.
of the season.
I had one question, if you don't mind. I've had a number of people call and ask if the roads were posted, and were there any restrictions, and I said, I really don't know, I wasn't sure, I thought they were posted, but I give them your phone number, and the one that was called twice now was regards to Parker Road, because I guess they wanted to get some cement trucks up and so forth.
Right.
So I'm assuming that you're in conversation with them?
They actually called Archie and they called me, and we both told them the same, that if they used them when they were froze, they are posted for mud season. Mud season came a little early, so we told them that if they would use smaller loads and come in when the ground's froze, that they had permission to use them, and if any destruction of road came about, that they were responsible to repair.
Good.
So-
Mark, did you get a phone call from somebody on Whitney Hill? She was complaining about the logging trucks,
No, I didn't,
because I gave her the number, she was pretty upset.
yeah, no, I didn't hear anything. Was it recent?
Last week, I think.
Last week? No, I didn't hear anything.
It was in regards to the logging that's going on at the top of the hill. And the woman was saying that they were tearing up the road, and that's the message that she left.
Yeah, that, I don't know if any of the select board has driven to the end of Whitney Hill Road. The Ward family is having some timber harvested on their property, and they purchased, there's a little camp on the right-hand side of the road right near the very end of where the town turns around for maintenance from Ward's house. So they were logging their property and bringing it to the road, and nothing was ever really said, or permission was not really asked if they could work that close to the road. It turned out they were working right in the road, and maintenance to the road kinda got bumped off a little bit due to this logging. There's no other place to really turn a truck around.
Well, she was wondering if there was tickets that, if it's posted, can you give them a ticket? Do they have to get a permit? And I said the best thing was for her to call you, because I said without names.
See, when we post the roads, to make it legal, the select board has to sign a paper stating which roads are posted and for what weight. And then that paper gets sent down to Department of Transportation, V-Trans, and then it can be patrolled by an officer who just handles big trucks. So unless we do that, our signs are basically just go at your own risk. So nobody contacted me. The
Well, I
loggers,
told her without names and stuff, there was really nothing we could do.
Would she like
unless-
to remain anonymous?
I can't, I
You
don't
know,
remember what her name was.
a lot of it should be common sense, but I guess a
She
lot of
didn't
common
put a
sense
written.
is not there. And the loggers have stopped logging for this winter season. However, because of the mud, they were actually putting their logs closer into the road, and it was kind of affecting the road plowing. So I made a text message to the person in charge and asked them to move the wood and
Fix it.
not to put any heavy trucks on unless the road was frozen. And they did come and move the wood. And, you know, because of heavy traffic, yes, the road is a little bit muddier in that area. There was a lot of bark in the road, and I'm sure there'll be some cleanup. But, yeah, it was, a lot of truckloads of logs came out of there. And if we want to pursue, you know, this to happen again, we should probably post our roads legally by having the board sign the paper and posting it with V-Trans so that if we have an issue with trucks, then we could have them come up and talk to them.
I had seen the email from V-Trans about posting, and then I saw that we had signs up. I said, oh, it's already done, but I
Yeah.
understand.
Well, this is the way we've done it for years. We put our signs up, and most of the time, 9 out of 10 will abide by it. And then you've always got one who signs mean nothing to, and they do what they want to.
So this logging company, which may be damaging our road at the top of Whitney Hill, we don't have a depositor or
No, they-
retainer or anything like
He
that?
came in the middle of the night, or, you know, so, he came in when it was unaware and unloaded at the bottom of the hill and drove the track vehicles to the top. And as it turned out, we had rain a day or so later. And usually once you loosen the gravel and you get rain, especially on a hill, you have erosion. So I wasn't happy with the way the whole thing came about, but because it was at the very end of the road, the landowners is the last house, they're the ones that suffered most of the, you know, the road issue. But now that they're done with that portion of the logging, I believe the logging will continue this summer. There will be more trucks. So whether you want to establish some sort of regulations and rules that need to be passed on to the logger.
And do we think, was the complaint of the person the damage to the road that the trucks were causing?
Yeah, because she said it was the speed that they were going, what they were, the damage they were doing to the road. She knew who was logging, and I says, well, is this person that's logging, is he the one that's logging it out? She said, no, he puts the trees down, and then another trucking, and I says, well, without the names, I don't think there's really anything we can do without names. But she did give me the logger, who the logger was.
Right, yeah. Yeah, the logger's like a subcontractor,
Right.
and so, I mean, there's names that could be had if, I don't know what the complaint is,
She just it was messing up, and
Well, she said it was destroying the road, that was her words, and that it was making the road horrible and hard to navigate. And again, you know, I don't know if they have an overweight permit, I have no idea
You
who
know,
the
like-
company is.
Like a couple weeks ago, all of a sudden, our cold weather turned into like 50-degree weather during the day. One day was in the 60s. And that's when the road thawed out. And yes, the trucks were still using it then. And
That's what
like I
she-
say, with common sense, they should have stayed off from it, but they didn't. And then they firm back up at night when the temperature freezes, so that was about the time, I guess, Archie and me talked and we put the posted signs up. So, but you know, out of common courtesy and common sense, any logger should pay attention to the town roads and ask if it's okay to travel at certain times, but not everybody follows the rules. So.
Well, maybe-
I know that when the last loggers were in town, we did ask for a bond from them. They had a forester who came to our meeting, and we kept the bond until everything was cleaned up to our likings. And the way this one came about, they just went at it without any question. And
The last one that we got a bond, that was because they were gonna be accessing the logs through the Pinnacle Association parking lot.
yeah,
But because they're accessing the logs not through anything else, that's why we wouldn't have needed them to tell us, I see.
right, but you know, this one, there was room to be off the road, but because the heavy log trucks that come to get the logs can't get off the roads without getting stuck and mired in the mud, they kept their logs right in the right of way at all times and slowly inching out into the road with a lot of bark in the road. When I was scraping in the summer, I avoided the section that was, you know, nothing but bark in the road. So, I believe that next time through, the trucks will just be passing up over the hill to get the rest of the job. I don't know for a fact, but I believe that's the way the next part of the...
So what you're saying is there really nothing we can do?
No, there are roads, we can set some rules and,
Well, it'd be after the fact if we have to develop a logging policy or something.
yeah. Yeah,
So have you had a chance to see this trucking company that's doing all this damage to maybe say something to them?
I haven't seen any of the trucks myself,
Yeah, okay.
just at random times in my travel of checking roads, I have not seen trucks. But I have seen the logger's truck there, he's usually in the woods. A couple times through, he was up in the machines and operating, and I didn't stop to talk to him.
Yeah,
The logger knows who the trucking company is.
Oh, of course, yeah, he.
And I think you should ask him and find out if he has an overweight permit and if he has a bond and a insurance of certificate of insurance.
A lot of those trucks are Canadian, so, whether he.
yeah, because we ran into this problem before when they were logging right next to this building.
Mhm.
That they said, well, some of the truckers are from Canada, they don't have. But he was really good, he fixed the road.
Yeah, right, yeah, he was asked to fix that and it was fixed. But, like the Canadian trucks, there's so many of them bringing products to the United States that you may not ever get the same truck back.
Well, maybe this should be
That's
put
right.
on until the next meeting to be discussed a little further, because it's, you know, we've still got a ways to go,
Yeah.
Right, and we may want to consider
something else.
Some sort of restrictions on the roads.
letters starting with,
Well, you
maybe
know,
we should send a letter to the
like-
logger.
Yeah.
Like Palmer Goodrich and Record Concrete on the Interfire project, you know, the project apparently got delayed, they had some problems throughout the winter, and then it got cold, and so they wanted to get going early this spring, and they called up me and you know, asked what they had to do to do it, and I said, well, you gotta, first of all, it's gotta be a cold morning, and you gotta have a light load. And also, you should be aware that if you
Damage it,
if you damage the road, you're gonna fix it. And this is part of an Act 250, you know, project, and, you know, the project isn't gonna get signed off on until the road is fixed, and you're gonna pay for it.
But that's one of the things.
So,
we have
so
to
that way you
define.
kinda,
Yeah.
you know, you got a little something to, you know,
And they have applied for an overweight permit and they do have a certificate of insurance.
Okay.
you know, you got a little bit.
And we had more than one call, there was like 3 different people in the companies, both concrete dispatcher, the excavator company, and so they all called to ask,
Okay,
courtesy,
all right.
and willing to do the right thing.
Yeah, you get a morning that's in the teens, you know, or 2 or
Like all
3
next
days in the
week.
teens.
Yeah,
It's not really
Problem.
a problem, but when it's 60 and 70
Wow, falls out of the
in
road.
late February,
I actually took pictures because not the storm that happened yesterday, but the storm before, they actually had their logs in half of the lane up there. And I brought pictures to the board. I was gonna have a letter written. I sent a message and was told that the logs would be moved before the next storm. Because it was at the point where it crowded the traffic into a soft ditch, and we decided, you know, safety vehicles couldn't get to the end of the road if needed be for fire trucks. And so we made that aware to them, and they said that, you know, when they got around to it, they'd move the logs if the storm came before they would move them, so.
Alright, so right now you have evidence, you took some pictures, you've been in communication with them.
Yeah,
They have moved the logs.
You have
they
moved
did
the
get them
logs.
out of the way.
They're gonna have to fix the road, and somebody coming to the back door.
This lady that did complain, I did ask her to say that in writing, you know, to write the select board.
Right, yeah, that's where it should probably start, and then we can build
And
a,
I suggested that to her, I said, the first thing you need to do is write the select board and let them know that there's a problem.
right.
Okay, so if there's something that needs to be done sooner than later, don't hesitate to give a call.
Okay.
But, do we know who the person called? Because,
I believe I have her number in my call list, and I can probably find out.
yeah. So I just want to let her know that we heard of the issue and that we'll take a look at that. Check with Guy. Did you get a copy of the email from Danielson Company about wanting to change the culvert size?
Right,
What's up with
It's not
that?
really up to me to change the culvert size. Scott Jensen, who's the stream alterations engineer, was also copied on that email.
Yeah.
And I talked to Scott twice today. And so the long short is, he's willing to, it's the same opening size. What it is shallower and
So there's more
wider.
gravel above through the.
I guess my only concern is, and it's only what, a foot wider, so it's, you know, from center line, it's only 6 inches either way. Because of the skew of the angle of the culvert to the road is like 40 degrees. You know, this corner and this corner start getting close to the road edge, you know. In other words, the road's like this and the culvert's like this. The wider it gets, the more these corners get into the, close to the road edge. That's my only concern.
I was confused because he said something about it would better meet the hydraulic study parameters, and I'm thinking, why would, I don't know.
Well, they look at a lot of different factors. The watershed area gives them the sizing of the culvert, but there's also the velocity of the water. That is, you might see in the email, there's 0.5% slope. That's a 0.5%. It's
Shallow.
pretty near level. We knew that, but given that hydrology, he said in his email, this is the stream alteration engineer, was willing to go with 18 inches of stone instead of 2 feet, which makes the opening can be now 6 inches lower and have the same amount of water flow area. You still have to have 4 feet from the top of the stone to the bottom of the footing for scour protection, you know, storm scour.
So what do we?
But he
have to
did
do?
talk about a bump in the road. I just read the email tonight when we got home from work, and I didn't respond to it, but I'm going to. Mark and I measured it out the day, I think it was the afternoon after the bid showing. You and I went there and sent the information to Guy, and Guy Chad put it out to all the contractors. With the length of the disturbed area is 100 feet. And he's talking about this bump in the road. Well, it shouldn't be a bump in the road if he follows the plan.
If he follows the plan, okay.
So, I don't know, sometimes these bigger companies, I won't say, he may not be aware of the, that change, but I just want to make sure he's aware of it before he,
So you're handling that, right?
yeah, well, okay. The next thing is this, the salt sand shed. I think the grant's all set now. Samara worked on getting all the final paperwork done with the state. I sent you an email. Did you print that off?
I'm thinking I did, of all the stuff I have tonight, I did not print it off.
I tried this afternoon on my printer. There's some kind of error. My computer and my printer ain't talking to each other.
I understand.
We have a lot of that in our house.
Yes, but it was,
But anyways, it was $700, I
Right.
think, for, basically, he's looking, this is Ron Bell,
Right,
who
Ron
was the
Bell.
one that designed this, as some oversight and 4 inspection periods throughout the project. And he also told me, although it wasn't on the quote, that he would also be part of the bid showing and answer any questions on site that the contractors might have. Obviously, he's a lot more familiar with the plans and the requirements than any of us are.
I will share that email with you all. I didn't print it out to make copies for you tonight, I'm sorry. When does Ron need to have a confirmation on whether or not he will help us with these oversight inspection periods and showing all that? Can it wait till next week or?
When will he have the,
When does Ron Bell expect the town of Brookline to concur with your recommendation to have him as the oversight person for the salt sand?
I think you
shed?
just need to approve the expenditure.
Okay, so I'll put that on an agenda item,
Right, and if we do it next week,
Right.
which is Monday.
is that gonna be fast enough?
Yeah.
for him to
Okay.
get that?
Yeah, and then there was a question, I think, I wasn't at the meeting, but I think Mark told me. During the discussion of the box culvert, somebody brought up the question of bonding the project.
Yeah.
I talked to Samara about, I do bonding from the other end of the spectrum, but I didn't know what was involved for the town to require bonding from a contractor. And she looked into it and said that it's basically just paperwork, so I don't know if that's, I'm not trying to sway you one way or the other.
Do we do we need to bond for the security? It's like, what would he
Do y'all understand what a bond is? It's basically a,
deposit? Security deposit?
what's that?
Like a security deposit will be, they
Or a
put it
performance
on-
bond?
It's actually a bond in 100%, usually. You can word it however you want to word it, but typically a bond is a surety. You get a bond through an insurance company or a surety company, and it's typically a bid bond is for 5% of the project. In other words, you're guaranteeing, and then the bonds that are required from the successful bidder are 100% of the project for performance and payment bond. In other words, they have to prove at the end that they paid all the subs, they paid all the vendors, and that they performed all the tasks that were required of them before the town then releases the bond And the contractor has to pay a fee, of course, for this. Usually the contractor pays 2 to 4%, depending on how stable the company is and how easy the bond is to secure. And of course, that and other fees get added onto the bottom line, so.
This is so something Samara would be the touch person I should talk to, or she's working on
Maybe,
something, or what?
maybe it'd be good to ask Samara if she feels it's necessary.
Okay.
Or, Ron also does a lot of work on bigger projects and,
Maybe that's something that Samara can talk
you
about down.
you probably all remember the Baybot project. Remember
Right,
that?
up in Bellows Falls.
The library, Baybot was a contractor who supposedly had a bond, but it fell through the cracks, nobody checked on it. The project went south, and they said, well, we can solve that in bond company. Well, there was no bond. It really was a mess.
It insulates the town against any liens, any mechanic liens, and then having the town being sued for non-payment.
It's a layer of protection.
That's a big project. It's gonna be an expensive project there. All right.
But that all has to be in the advertisement. If you're gonna require that. And the other thing it does is maybe there wouldn't be a local guy bid on it, but some local guys can't get bonded. You gotta be.
Right. It kind of legitimizes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, what else we have in here? That's it.
Oh, this is the, this is the stream alteration permit for the,
It's just the cover.
It's down the roads, right?
Yeah.
this is Scott Jensen.
This is the culvert. Good. Anything else?
Do you have
All right, I have a comment,
Chris?
if possible. We're all here, I'd like to acknowledge Archie's service as our road commissioner. And you have been, it's 1 year that I've been on this board, and you've been terrifically professional and wonderful to work with. So we appreciate your time serving as road commissioner, and Dave and I tried to cajole you into not leaving at a town meeting, but
And we haven't given up yet.
yeah, we're still gonna try.
Still open. Still an open position.
We would really like it.
Well, and thank you
Yes, we
for
understand.
being
We do
willing to
understand.
continue with the helping with the grant stuff and all that stuff that you're gonna do. I mean, that's incredibly
Another
helpful.
little piece of the grant stuff is just bumped into that. One of the projects, Mark showed the people from what was that? Better Roads was up on Holland Hill, remember? Well, I don't know if you all are familiar with the hill, but it's kind of an odd hill in that 2/3 of it probably is in Putney, and then the bottom third is in Brookline.
Right.
And so part of the project is to replace the culvert at the bottom. It's kind of undersized and bad angle. And the other part of the project is stone on the ditch all the way up the hill. Well, I talked to Putney, Brian Carlo, the Putney Road foreman, recently, about about this well, actually, we talked to him last summer, and the town of Putney, cleaned out the ditch for us a couple times. It's kind of one of those notorious ditches for filling in with sediment, which is it's what they want to eliminate,
Right.
the erosion. So anyways, he's willing to, I said, well, Brian, you know, the problem is, it's not gonna do us any good to do our part if you don't do your part. So we gotta kind of work together on this, you know. And he said he would do the project and then, give an estimate to the town for services rendered in Brookline.
Okay, because that, we don't do
I
our
said,
equipment
well,
over
we have to
there.
hire somebody to do it.
Anyway,
I didn't know if the town of Putney was willing to do that, but he didn't think it was a problem, so. So anyways, he's supposed to give me an estimate for Brookline's portion of that project and replacing that culvert. I talked to Mark about it, and he would be willing to oversee it and make sure it gets, you know, keep him on task.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, they've worked with the same, Better Roads, people, so they know what's going on, and so if they're willing to work with the same people on the same grant for themselves and willing to do, while their equipment's there, it only makes sense to go over their estimate to see if we'd like them to do our share.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And at the same time, we'll have a kickback to the grant for this. It'll upgrade the size of the culvert.
The people will be happy, the ones that wrote last summer, that
Right,
was
yeah.
prices,
And
purple.
and the ditches will be lined with a heavy ditch stone that doesn't wash away with heavy rain erosion.
So what I suggested to Brian was in the spring when the snow goes, Mark and I and him, I go up there and first of all, define exactly where the town line is. You know.
Ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's marked, but it's kind of in the woods, you know, we gotta figure that out. And then, you know, from that, he said he'd just come up with estimates here.
Okay, another project.
And I think Mark could give an estimate for, you know, what would it cost for him with his equipment to do it, and we can, you know, weigh that.
So it's something we'll wait on, they'll be sending it to mailing it to us, and it'll come across the desk, okay.
We were already approved for the work and the grant money. So either way,
It's
we
gonna get
have the
done.
money coming in. It's not an entire grant for the one project. The grant money we're receiving covers like 4 projects that we've had in Brookline. So,
One's just below David's house, one's out beyond Chris's house.
yeah.
Cool.
What's the one below my house?
There's just a little erosion on the edge of the road.
Yeah.
Right at the bottom of the hill.
Yeah,
It's right off the shoulder, there's an erosion.
It's just beyond.
But it's the whole thing.
Or just
It's before it going back to David's.
before you get to
on
And
the uphill side.
Yeah.
what will happen there, some big riprap rock will be stacked from the base of the bank and tapered off at the top to secure the shoulder, so that we don't lose any more banking
Yeah.
on there.
Excellent. Anything else, gentlemen?
I would just like to add that I enjoyed working under Archie's authority, his knowledge of years of experience and his know-how on all this stuff. He's been quite a few members of different parts of our town, and I think he accomplished, since I've been on working for the town, I've worked under, I think, five or six guys, and you know, each time learning a lot of stuff, but I've learned a lot from Archie, and just having his guidance has been irreplaceable knowledge there. So I wish he'd stay on board, but hopefully he'll be nearby for a few questions if they arise.
Is that a yes? Options here.
So thank you, Archie, for all of your good input
Years of service.
you've given.
Yeah, thank you again.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
You'll be in good hands under Gwen Milmark, so.
Yeah, Gwen's gonna do
Okay,
that.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Just one more point.
Yes, sir.
Not to be terribly critical, but today is the first anniversary of the roadside damage on Grassy Brook Road. You probably already knew that.
Yeah, I have it
left
on
the
my
cake at
thing,
home.
and
Yeah.
And
I went to
still
look
no,
to,
still no materials. I know Sunny Lane Daycare got a load of stone last fall. but,
right,
which was part of the agreement.
Right.
But the other part of the agreement hasn't really
materialized.
materialized. So I know you've sent countless emails and letters and phone calls and I don't know.
I'm not exactly sure what the missing link is. I'm gonna, between now and next Wednesday, I will make my personal best to get, otherwise, that's why I asked you if we needed more sand, because if then we'd have to reduce the payment.
I mean, you put a reminder in the request for sand back in January or February.
January, February, and emailed it, yeah. So that's why I went down to the yard today to see if there was a new pile there. Everything was nice, covered with snow. I'm like, I can't tell what I'm looking at. And then I looked in the beds and I saw the sand and the salt low, so that's why I brought it up. It's 1 year anniversary, okay.
Anniversary.
We can sing happy birthday.
Yeah. Yes, I am aware of that, disappointed with it, aware. Okay, anything else, sir?
I can't think of anything else at this point.
What, if you do, next week is gonna be here real fast. We have another
Yeah.
meeting, so
Okay.
you can bring it up then.
This wonderful snow just keeps postponing things.
No, okay. New business, old business. So that we put on hold the meeting house, we put on
Yeah.
hold the Sunny Lane Daycare UV water disinfection report, which I haven't gotten yet, but I did tell our plumber to order the parts that we need to have us back up for the UV system, the bulbs, and I think 2 filters, so that's that. All right, then we're down here to the vicious dog hearing. I emailed to everybody the report, the vicious dog report, and unfortunately, Chris said that he wrote back there were some corrections and typos on it, correct?
I said it was comments.
Just punctuation issues?
Mostly. There were some other things, but yeah, mostly that.
This is Beverly Waters, right? Yes. Beverly called and asked about what the notation was on the agenda, and I explained that was just to give approval to take the report and make it available to send it out to the complainant and responded and to put it on our website and such. Other than the punctuation, which I can correct on the computer at home if you send the email, other than the punctuation, commas and that, was there any data in here that you wanted to see modified, changed, or updated?
I did have a question
Sure.
about the chain.
Yes.
When it says not less than, what is the reason for not less than instead of?
That's a regulation.
Okay.
The 15 foot is not less than, correct. That's a state that's a regulation for,
They don't have a not more than, like you get.
they don't have a not more than,
Okay.
just not less than 15 feet.
Okay.
Talking about the chain.
I think it's a safety, animal safety.
Okay.
Because if you have it on too short of
If
a
you had
chain,
a
they
3-foot chain and they're on a porch, they could choke themselves, or I think it's related to that.
Yeah.
That was in my email too.
Other than that, everybody got it and read it? All right. So, Bill, I do have to just make some corrections to the report, typos, but I will do that and probably get that done tomorrow. And tomorrow morning, and Mr. Tanzai can bring down a hard copy and we can make copies and send it out. We have to send it out certified return receipt. Okay? So this is fine then with the, somebody want to make a motion?
Make a motion to accept the report with corrections that I lined out for you in the email.
We have a motion on the floor to accept the vicious dog hearing protective order, seconded by Dave. We have a motion on the floor to accept the vicious dog hearing protective order report for the male pit bull known as Gucci with corrections that were sent. Any discussion? All those, all those in favor of accepting the report with corrections signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the protective order stands, will be signed when corrected by myself. And it will say that the protective order was approved by the Brookline Select Board on today's date, which is March 14th, 2018, and I'll sign it, the updated one. Okay, very good, that's it. Down here for new business. New business goals for the new year, March 2018 through March 2019. This is something that comes up on some reorganization meetings, and I have 3 goals that I just like to share. My goals this year would be to update a minimum of 2 ordinances. I'd like to also have a goal of establishing the best way to spend the $2,000 for cemetery upkeep in the best way possible. And the third goal would be to be a part of a select board sponsored activity at the Brookline Meeting House during the upcoming year, sponsored by the select board, whether it be a full moon music night or an ice cream social or a baked goods showcase or a movie night, something at the building. So those were my 3 goals. Gwen, do you have any goals? David?
No goals? I do have a couple that I jotted down when I saw this agenda item. I want to try to set up a structure for us to divert redeemable cans and bottles from the recycling bins in some fashion as a fundraiser for something, but mostly to get those out of the bins that we're paying to have hauled. So that's something that's on my list to figure out a way to do that. And there's also the round schoolhouse, some kind of projects in conjunction with Doug and the Historical Society to do some improvements to the round schoolhouse this summer so that we can utilize some of the funds that have been donated to it before they are no longer around. And I think both Chris and I probably have a goal of streamlining the town report process.
That's on my goals, yes.
Sorry, I stole it from you.
Stole my goal.
That's why I sit here.
That's
Yeah,
right.
sit here. I get to go first.
I have a question concerning Archie's service that he does on our road. I'm just
Well,
curious.
wait, now, you're out of, you have to finish where the.
Okay, no. Right.
Go ahead.
Okay, so I have the 2 speed limit
Yeah.
ordinances to work on that I did study on last year. I was gonna be working with you, Dot, on the ancient cemeteries.
Excellent.
I had organized the town meeting book early, so we're gonna get together and figure out
Next
a
week.
realistic schedule so that we're not asking 40 times. We're just gonna send out when things are due, but make it realistic to each person's ability and like their job. Like we can't ask for a school board thing early, but we could probably get the meeting house or planning boards thing by December 1, because they don't have any specifics. But like when it involves numbers, it goes a little later. So
Right.
we're gonna take what we learned this year and make it more realistic for a timeline and get ahead of it. I was wondering about if we jump into this century and have a Brookline Town Facebook page, social media page, where we can also do announcements and things like that. Because I know if I had a link to a Brookline page, I'd get everything much more than when I read the emails that come, but to me, I'm more in the social media zone. So
Well, that's what the website's for.
I know, but I'd say a lot of people, I know people who don't, who yes, could make the effort to look at other places to find things, but who, if they're on social media, they would see it right away, and I think it's just another way to
Well,
do
I
it.
mean, this is a good one, would you be willing to run it?
For a year, sure.
Because see,
For my time.
I'm just learning Facebook, so there's, you know,
Yeah, I
there's
do
still
on-
so much
I'm on
I
mine all
don't
the
even
time.
know.
Yeah, I could do it. I could make it my project,
I
because
do have a Facebook.
Right, that's a great goal.
it'd be easy. For me. And then I just put ordinances, because I know we talked last year. Before,
Yeah.
Actually, before I was on the committee, we
Yeah.
talked about doing ordinances, so we might want to review all of them.
Yeah, I think we need to,
Not do them all.
review, but not do them. That's why I
Yeah,
wanted to
right.
get a couple of them just
Yeah.
going on it, diving in. Excellent.
So am I allowed to do a Facebook page? Like, I didn't know if there was some formal thing.
I think we probably do need to do a little bit of research on it.
I need to find the ramifications with the Vermont
Yeah.
League of City and Towns, because anything that's put out there, the town is responsible for. So, you know, I don't think it's any big
Yeah,
thing, but
exactly.
I would like to
I mean,
make sure that we're in the parameters of,
Right, because there are limitations to what we can post before it, I mean, it would be
Yeah.
the timing of it and making sure we're not.
I know that there is,
But yeah, I think it's a good idea.
Peter Myers had a Facebook page for the Brookline Church. And he wanted to turn that over to somebody at some point. I don't know if we can take that and change its title and continue with that.
If we have
Or-
a town page that's just kind of generic with things going on in town, but also maybe has the open meeting, you know, we follow open meeting rules to post meeting related things as well.
Scotty at the Newburgh School might be very helpful, because I know he had the same concern when he wanted to open up a Facebook page for the Newburgh School, and concerned about comments being put on it, and as the administrator, he doesn't allow any comments, he'll go and clean the comments up every day.
Right.
and you have to be careful that no decisions are discussed or so forth. You know, there's a couple of different things that you have to be careful, but I think it's a great idea,
Yeah.
because the more exposure we get, the better it is for the town.
Right.
And it is,
Just do a little research.
I know Newfane has a, whenever Newfane updates their webpage, I get an email that's saying that he updated their webpage. But then you gotta click on it and click 3 times to get to it. So I know using Facebook is a little faster kind
Right.
of setup. Mr. Mello,
No,
no goals?
everybody's looking at me.
The heat, I thought you were gonna say you wanted to get the heat going.
Well, that's next week. We'll
It's
see.
a goal. It's one of his goals.
I figured a goal would be to get the meetings done so that you don't miss Rachel.
That would be productive, except I have a DVR, so it takes care of that.
Ah. Okay. All right, so that's good that we have a list of goals, some things to take a look at and work for the town of Newfane. All right, so then we'll go into correspondence.
Wait,
Yes, sir,
you had added
I'm sorry.
after the, oh, did we miss this? Anyway, we had added a Sunny Lane daycare job description.
Yes. All right, I passed them
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Did I pass them out already?
No, did not.
Yes, it is. What's a drip?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the same draft for the Sunny Lane Daycare Property Manager job description. The only thing I modified in this draft was under responsibilities, number 5, replace filters and or light bulbs in the UV water disinfection system when required. That's the only thing I changed.
So, and I apologize because I realized I was gonna read through this and mark up a bunch of stuff and send it to you, and I didn't do that.
You can still do it because we can do this next week.
Sure.
There's some typos.
Yeah, well, and there's some things like it's the SLDC property manager, it's not the property manager for the town of Brookline.
Correct. Did I put that in there too? Yes, I did.
You know, it kind of it kind of alternates at points.
Thank you, yes.
And I think there's some tense things and stuff.
All right, so
I guess I would,
table
can
this.
can we table it for next week? And I promise this time I will actually
All right, and I'll check.
mark it up.
And
I guess the question I was gonna ask was, do you have an electronic version of this?
Yeah,
Can I get that? Because I don't think I have that, so that I don't have
and
to.
Word I have a PDF is easy, but I have a Word document I can send it to, I think. All right, I'll send it.
Just so I can annotate it that way.
Okay, so we'll table this for next week, and
Yeah.
I'll send it to you.
Yeah, that'd be great, thank you.
Okay. Thank you for reminding me of that, it came out of sequence when we were doing this. All right, comments from residents. Email, great snow job, great snow removal for this blast storm. Kudos to you, from a resident that wrote to me. So I wanted to let you know, at least thank you for all the work that you did for this storm and others. And if you don't mind, since it's comments from residents, Beverly, do you want to comment?
I was just curious because I know when I first moved on Merrill Drive, it was considered private. Now I was told that it's a public road, so I'm just curious why one end of the road gets done, but not like the further end where I live. Like the first hill gets done by A.S. Clark, but the other end doesn't. So I was
I
just,
think the other end still remains private.
I was told the whole road is
No,
public
they
now.
have-
We went through an entire process. A couple of the residents that live on the first hill came to the town and applied for a application to upgrade the road to a town road. And so the whole, there's a process to it, and we only did to the Bush Lane was all that was asked for.
So that's the only public part of that road?
Right.
Is up in,
The rest is a private access, so.
that's good to know because I was told otherwise. So that's
No.
good to know. Thank
No,
you.
the first half is considered town road now,
Okay.
and the rest is up to the residents to maintain.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you for helping that. Thank you.
All right, comments from residents, great thing. Email, again, was a letter of resignation from Archie. Regular mail, we're gonna take a look at that now, and then work zone flagger, pavement management and maintenance, road scholar classes, are you interested in any?
Yeah,
You can see that.
I'm working on road scholar, and each time some of these come through, it gives me more
Credits.
credits.
Exactly. All right. Oh, we know this one, health training officer. That is actually similar to what we've already done, right? We have them up in Berlin.
That's it.
Oh, yeah.
Municipal Assistance Center training event. Oh, Saturday, March 24th. Can't make that one.
Tuesday in Randolph.
Not gonna take some time.
I think it's better.
Yeah, maybe,
Good.
CLTC Accounting and Auditing Symposium.
What's up? Tell us the
when the frost cubes are at your feet.
Yeah, that's true.
With picnic benches for our patio and pool.
Gifts for Howard Osgood.
What is that?
This is a nice pool.
Well, when you see the.
Do we want to, should we share that as well?
Putting in a tiny pool.
I'm looking forward to opening my pool in June, maybe.
That's pretty speculative.
Passing it on too.
Yeah, I just thought we were gonna be planting
I might not even bother opening it this year. It's gonna be open for like a month.
County auditing symposium. No, it's on a Tuesday.
Yeah. Backyard there
What's that?
at the studio.
Yeah.
This
It's
is,
no sun
Well,
this time of
you
year,
know,
so
put in a
the
nice
ice
wastebasket.
and the snow.
Water, as in a cool drink of bananas.
It's gonna be months before that all melts.
That's the energy plan from the Wyndham Regional Commission. It's an overview of what the commission is signing off on.
Well, it's something that will be in the office for us to look at.
Absolutely.
Okay. There's no way.
Don't you have to read that into the record?
They closed the road down.
I'll pass it on down. So with the regional plans, energy audit, and here, this goes with it. Cover letter.
They both beautiful.
I think you could take turns taking that home and reading
Yeah,
it.
just curious, so it's.
Just sign out for it and then the next guy can read it and,
Get a night
Okay.
You're not gonna
Oh,
post
okay.
it?
pool and
no.
I'm gonna get hit. I'll be walking home.
Actually, it's for select boards, planners and political appointees.
Is there an electronic version of that on the?
There probably is, but you could also just email the Wyndham Regional Commission, and I would think there
Go to
is,
Chris Hampton's
I'm
house.
almost sure there is.
I'm gonna add another piece of communication. I'm
In
gonna
fact, I know there is.
each select board person a copy of the Brookline's 2017 Local Emergency Operations Plan.
Taxes on that?
After tonight's meeting, I can now talk with Mike Fontaine and Mike Wynot to get together to update this. The template is the same template this year as it was for last year. Next year is gonna be overhauled, so this year should be a pretty straightforward.
You filled this out last
I filled out the past 2
You
years.
did, yeah.
So, I'll let you know, this is called the Local Emergency Operations Plan. It has to be submitted by May, so we'll work on it through April. But everybody should become familiar with it, and God forbid we need to use it, but it's something that we do every year. So that's part of mail, communications, correspondence. Something in there, stick it in there somewhere. All right. Now we're at pay orders, so make sure I do this right, Glenn. We need to read into the minutes the following payroll, okay?
This was from the storm last week.
Right.
It was pre-signed.
I just want to make sure we get it ready to read it into the minutes. I'd like to make a motion to accept payroll warrant 2018-35 in the amount of $1,560.83. May I have a second?
Second?
So I have a second. Any discussion?
Read me the number again.
All those in favor of accepting payroll warrant 2018-35 in the amount of $1,560.83 signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Payroll warrant is accepted. I am going to ask that we make a motion to payroll. I'd like to make a motion to accept payroll warrant 2018-31 in the amount of $3,543.82. May I have a second? Second, I have a second. Any discussion?
Now, say the number again, 80.
The payroll number is 2018-31, and the amount is $3,543.82. This payroll is for February 7th, 2018. Make sure it's read into the minutes, okay? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Please all sign, review, report, Bruce signed it. That's all we need, okay. All right, that's it, that was all I had to do today.
What was the one, which one it was that we missed?
Yeah. All right,
We don't have to sign this, they've already been signed. Yeah, it was this one that we missed.
I was gonna leave them here.
all right, so now we set agenda for the next
I'll put them right in
meeting
this cabinet.
on March 21st, 2018.
It'll be right in the top drawer.
Should we discuss
Do you have, one more copy?
potential to assign a person so we want to call a special meeting for
All right, Mark. They'll be in here.
I'll ask my
They'll be in this drawer.
clerk how to word that. It's not on our agenda, so we'll
Oh, I
put it on the agenda.
Yeah,
And I'd like to keep this,
I was answering your request.
Okay, yeah.
Agenda item
that's a
This is for the
copy.
social.
one,
No, this is for,
account
this is for-
payroll, and
this
this
is,
is
Oh, yours?
payroll
Oh,
for
okay, I
the
thought you
agenda.
had the new
Payroll, sign,
there ain't no blueprint.
signers.
Okay, they're getting those
Good.
through the concrete guy.
3 would be
Yeah,
the
I'll
Sunny
talk.
Lane daycare property
Archie.
maintenance.
March, do you have a copy for yourself?
We do the meeting.
No, it's not.
No, it's just
I'll take it.
for reference, yeah.
I want to remind everyone before the select board meeting next week, at 6:30,
Okay, yeah,
we have
this is
a
on this
hearing
table.
for the town plan to be,
Yeah,
we have to have a select board run hearing
It's up to you.
for the town plan. It's been advertised, and
Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
we're going to start off
Thank you,
with that.
thanks for everything
What
you've done.
time is that?
At 6:30. 6:30 town
I'm
plan
looking at where I
hearing.
read it, Jim.
And then following that is the select board meeting, right after the town plan hearing is closed. And so we will vote again in the select board hearing whether or not to accept the town plan.
1906 by,
I remember my handwriting. We all know that Rapid Run is being held on the 7th.
Yeah, that's good.
Rapid Run, Sunny Lane Daycare groups. It's in April, you wanted to talk about Sunny Lane Daycare. And Rapid Run.
It's coming on the next agenda.
Yeah. 321, you want us to talk about the Brookline Meeting House heating. Meeting House heating. And we want to invite Carrie and Leanne. Okay. If I get a chance to, I'll talk to Somara about Ron Bell. We want to talk
Yeah,
about
we
Ron
need-
Bell,
Right, so you're gonna set
That's-
up
his email.
yeah.
And then we have to approve his expenditure, and I'll talk to Samara about the bonding they were referring to. What else do we need to do?
I was in conversation with Archie. Did you, I would just like to mention to delegate someone, I don't know if you've talked about
Putting
it,
it
but
on the agenda
delegating.
for tomorrow, for next week.
Oh, okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, accounts payable signer. and a
Yep, okay,
payroll
I'm sorry.
signer from
I was
Paper
talking to
Roads.
Archie.
No, she kept us, she reminded us. What else? Anything else?
You did that.
Oh, you did.
You didn't get it, it's to get credit.
No, I did not get the credit.
You did, oh, Chris did.
Someone over here.
Someone over there did. All right, so, I'll type up the agenda. If you see anything that you need to change, let me know by Sunday night, and that would be fine. So the agenda is set. Final one here for the town plan to be scheduled. I already have that on the agenda, okay. Select board meetings will immediately follow the town plan.
I have one question. I would just like to say one thing. I would just like to remind everyone that this Saturday is the dog rabies vaccination clinic. It's from 10 to 1 o'clock at the Newbrook Fire Station. And April 1st is coming close. It'll be April 2nd this year. After that, there's going to be a penalty and fee assessed to the license, and I really hate to see people pay that extra money. We'll be here and we'll be at the fire station, so hopefully everyone will renew their dog license.
Date again?
Saturday, March 28th.
March 18th, 17th,
17th, yeah.
And a fee after,
April 1st,
April 2nd this year.
April 2nd this year.
okay?
Anything else? Okay, anybody wants to do number 12?
Move to adjourn.
May I have a second?
Second.
Seconded by David. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of adjourning, please say so, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes.